Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Nanny. Today is Monday, September the 16th. And I don't know about you all, but this has been a very busy day for me. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Hi, Matthew. How are you? Um, it has been a whirlwind of a weekend since Friday, and I want to first say thank you to everyone who has sent messages, phone calls, texts, private messages, remarks on Facebook. Hi, Gabrielle. As it has just been a whirlwind, and I really, really appreciate you all's support. I appreciate your questions. I appreciate your suggestions. And I guess some of you all are wondering what I'm talking about. Well, as of Friday, the new U.S. Nanny Association launched. And I am the director of Nanny Services. And I am so excited to be in a capacity where I can just add on to what I'm doing now and serve my community even more. I am so excited, so excited, so excited. Friday night I was up, Saturday night I was up. Last night I fell asleep and I was like on the bed just trying to text. So answering questions, but if I haven't responded to you, send me a text again because I probably fell asleep because I've been up late for the last 3 nights. But send me a text and let me know what you're thinking. Send me a text and let me know what your suggestions are, if you'd like to volunteer, all of that good stuff. So we're going to get started with our topic for tonight, which is, and we're going to invite our first guest, which is who is Stacy Wooden. I hope Jess is adding her. Okay, Stacy, are you on your phone or are you on your computer? You have to be on your phone. Okay, thank you, Myrna. Okay, I'm trying to add Stacy. Let me try this. You're on your phone. Okay, so I wonder why it's not going through. Hold on. Hold on. Let me try again. Let me try adding you again. Okay. Let's try this again. All right, Stacy, I sent you an invite. Just hit the accept button. It says, probably said something like Angela. Yay! Can you hear me? Hold on. Let me trust Oh, is that okay? Let me put mine in and see if that counts. Okay, hold on. Let me put mine in and see if that counts. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, try taking your earplugs out. I'll put your phone. Let's try it that way. Okay. Okay. I can't hear you. Okay, we're having technical difficulties. I apologize. I apologize. can't hear you. Okay. How about you close it out and take the earplugs out, and then I'll invite you back in. Okay. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's see if we can try that again. Let's see. Let me find her. Okay, now I can't find her. Uh, hmm. Okay, so while we're waiting on Stacy, we're going to add Miss Karen. Hello.
Hi,
Yay! It works.
you got me.
Yay! Okay, let's get started before it goes completely whack again.
Okay,
There's always a
make sure I'm
technical
not in a
difficulty.
fishbowl, as Leanne said.
Okay, so introduce yourself, and then I'll ask you the questions.
Uh-oh, now I'm having trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Hold on. Let me see if the volume is down on my phone. Nope,
Okay,
my volume is up.
maybe I should turn mine down too. Hi, Lisa. Is that better?
Can you hear? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay! Okay, now introduce yourself.
All right, let's try it again.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, introduce yourself.
My name is Karen Yatsko, and I know a lot of people who are watching, and I've been a nanny for, it's going to be 35 years this year, and the last 3 years have been spent being a newborn care specialist, and I have a lot of information I can share about things that were done in the old style versus the new style.
Okay, well, get started. So, what?
Okay, one of the first things I was going to say is, I know nowadays everything is computerized, and sometimes that doesn't always work. In the fact that sometimes our phones lose their charge. And of course, if you're a nanny, sometimes the phones get knocked into the bathroom toilet or inadvertently get dropped because someone wanted to use the cell phone. So, what do you do if you're a nanny? You need a backup. So, old school, I used to make copies of everything, the parents' contact list and their insurance cards. And I used to carry a set in my purse and in the car in case we got in a car accident. And part of the reason I did that is, again, sometimes that phone isn't always available and you need to have numbers handy. So, yes, it may be old school to laminate some insurance cards and a contact list, but I found it to be really effective in my job.
Okay. Now, any other things? Give me like two more, and then I have another question for you.
Wait a minute, Angela, I can't hear your question.
I said, give me two more old school things. Old school versus new school.
New school, let me see if I heard you right. New school would be to me like there's all these new apps for the phone. Sarah, something's happening. Let me get my niece, who's my technical assistant.
That's new school.
I now have background music. As much as I love Ed Sheeran, can you turn him off?
Oh, background music?
Yeah, I have background music. Turn him off.
That's
Hold
weird.
on, Angela.
Okay. We can't. I can't hear your background music.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. See what I mean? Technical.
New school.
But
you have
everybody
somebody
wants
who's
to
doing
jump on
their
the
part.
bandwagon with electronic calendars and communicating with the bosses. And this is another good example. A lot of families will use Cozy, COZI, to be in sync with the nannies and to have like the day planner of the day. But sometimes that doesn't always work. I found, having a paper calendar is a good idea for a backup, just for things like this. But that's one of the new ways I think families are keeping in touch with the nannies versus the old way. I prefer paper and a written down way. I think a lot of nannies do. That's why you have the nanny diaries that's out right now, because some people do like to have things written down, not have the electronic calendar. So that was just another thing I was thinking of too.
Okay. Now, what is one thing that is old school that you won't ever change because it just
Old
works?
school everything to me, it's always going to be a face-to-face meeting with parents. And a lot of families in our industry are so busy and don't have time to maybe set up a personal face-to-face meeting with the nannies. And I feel like that's really important. You can't do it over text. It's really hard to read. And people, I think having a face-to-face meeting with your employers is of that. I'm always going to do that old school because there's no replacing it. And I think getting the families to make that time to sit down with you shows respect for you and your job. And I just think it's really important that families do that. And I know it's sometimes nannies are really scared to request that face-to-face time, but I think having those monthly or yearly check-ins with your families that you work with is really important. Yep, Leanne, I see that. Pen and paper. Old
Yes,
school
pen and
like me.
paper.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. Um, I still use pen and paper. I use the apps for the parents. I use pen and paper for me as a backup. I have, as you said, the Our Nanny Diary. I have that. I have a form that I created for myself. I have like 3 or 4 backups to my backups. So I can make sure that I got the information. So when they go to the doctor, and an app is not working or your phone just conveniently died, here you go. Here's all the notes from the last 3 or 4 months. And this is what baby has been doing. So, yes, I totally agree. Pen and paper do work. Now, don't let the dog chew on it, though.
Wait a minute, Angela, I lost your feed again.
You
The
lost me. We can
Sarah,
still see you.
technical assistant. I
We,
can't hear Angela. I can see her, but I can't hear her. I can't hear her. Okay.
she can't hear me.
Oh, she froze.
Yeah, she froze.
Okay.
Hi, Cynthia Reagan. I love you too.
Okay. I can see you. Can everybody else see me?
I can see you beautifully, Angela, but I cannot hear you.
Try going
Okay.
home.
Well, we're going to say bye-bye. So we can bring on someone else. I have other guests. Can you hear me?
I know. Angela looked beautiful, but maybe now I can hear you again. Let's try it again.
Okay, so I was saying I have other guests. So we're going to say goodbye and thank you very much for being with us.
You know what, Angela? It works better without the headset. Now I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Good.
Well, now there's echo. But anyway, I will see you later. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing with us. And I have about 6 more people that I need to get online. So I will talk to you a little later.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. We're having technical difficulties. You can't hear me? Oh my gosh. That's not a good thing. Um, hmm. My volume is up. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, let me see if I can add Stacy again and see if.
Hello.
Hey Angela, can you hear me this time?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
I
me?
changed headsets. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
Okay, okay. So introduce yourself. Tell us about old school and new school, and one thing that you will not change.
Okay, so my name is Stacey Woden. I've been a nanny for 19 years, so not as long as our last guest, but so technology was around or starting to be around when I was younger. I find that some of the biggest differences from back then versus now is with the internet and social media and things like that, we have community where before we didn't have community. I didn't know the nannies further than the ones on the block when I was younger.
Right.
Also,
Okay, you
that's opened up
froze.
doors for us to know more about nannies, about taxes and laws that govern us and our protections and things like that, which we didn't have before. And also it opened up classes. So education for nannies now is a lot bigger than it was, when I first started nannying 19 years ago. There was really no where to have education other than CPR and first aid. So, and of course,
Right.
ECE courses, but at that time, so that's I find a
Okay.
big difference between the two.
Okay. Now, what is one thing that you will not change? That's absolutely will not change. That's old school because it just works.
I kind of agree with what Karen was saying. I feel like texting is a big thing. Everyone texts everybody. I am big on having a conversation both on the phone and in face to face, depending on how important the conversation is. If it's super important, I prefer face to face. If it's something that's still important but like not, then definitely pick up the phone and have a phone call. So I feel like that's important.
Right.
That's something I feel like we're lacking nowadays is actual communication versus than just,
Live
texting.
communication.
Live
Oh,
communication.
I hear the baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
getting mad now.
Okay. Well. Thank you. I know that you have a little one to get to, so thank you for taking out the
Yes.
time to share with us. And I'll let you get back to your little one.
Okay. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye. Okay, so live communication, writing with a paper and pen, still works today, and I totally agree. Let me see. Who's next? Miss Buffy. Let's see. Let me grab you. Let's see if I can. There you are. Uh-oh. Buffy, are you on your phone? Because it says I can't add you. Let me see. I can't. It says I can't add you. But it said something. Hold on. Let me try it this way. Oh, boy, don't you just love technical difficulties? Okay. I don't know why it won't let me add you, Buffy. Can you invite yourself into the video? Because it will not. Oh. So you changed on me, Buffy. Okay, now try. Okay. Let me see. It still won't let me add you. Can you add yourself to down at the bottom of your screen, there's like a little icon with two little people icon. If you hit that button, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. I tell you, it must be a good subject because Facebook
Hey.
is just blocking us all over the place tonight.
Nah, no worries.
So we're having technical difficulties. So can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Buffy Gentry, and I started 30 years ago at the Nanny Institute of Beverly Hills here in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. So tell us, old school versus new school. What?
Well, I think there's many things that are old school that we've kind of changed to new school.
Mm-hmm.
I guess probably one of the biggest things I've noticed over my career is that when I was in nanny school, we were taught to give children timeouts. And we also use a lot of positive reinforcement, which
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing the ugly backlash of that right now. And so I think as a result of that, we now use positive discipline where we're teaching children to become good humans and good stewards, that sort of thing.
Yes. Yes. Anything else?
I think just to add on to like what Karen and Stacy said, those are both very important things. And I started out, it was probably a good, what, 8 years before there was really an internet presence of nannies. And I was in one of the first nanny groups ever, Cyber Sisters and Brother, which many of my other colleagues that are still, or maybe retired at this point in time, will remember. We were a big community. That's how we started. And we
Okay.
shared things through there and different ideas and such.
Well, see, I didn't find out about all the nanny groups online until like 2 years ago. So if I didn't meet you at the park or at the local store where all the nannies gathered, or I didn't know. And then
Right.
some of the nannies at the park, the way they look at you, you're like, okay, let's not go over there and play. I don't want to approach her. Because you couldn't tell whether it was the mom or the nanny. But more than likely it was probably the nanny. But the way they kind of look at you like, don't come over here, or they're clustered together,
Right.
and you want to go say hi, but they're like, so when I get the side eye, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
done.
I I think I've just always been a naturally friendly person and have always talked to people no matter where. And if they make a comment or statement, then just move on. That's not positive, that sort of thing. I mean, it has happened. It happens to all of us.
Oh, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because even though I talk online and it seems like, oh, she's just a talkative person. I am if I know you, but I'm not the type that will come up and approach you and say, hi, I'm Angela. I'm a nanny. Who are you? That's not me.
Right.
That's,
Right.
that's
Right.
just not me. Or how old is your child? I've had people approach me and just go up, and I can't stand this. They go up and they touch the child. Oh,
Oh.
you're so cute. I'm like, get your hands off my child.
Well, luckily we're in LA and people are very like child led and they know that that's a no-no here. So it doesn't happen
Yeah,
too much.
yeah.
Right.
Well, it happens, down south we're a lot friendlier,
Right.
but when I don't know what it is, they touch babies and they like to touch your belly when you're
Oh,
pregnant.
no, no.
This is my personal space. And
Yes.
and even though the baby's sitting there and the baby's going like this, like don't touch me, they're
Mm-hmm.
still coming at the child. I'm like, and I'll just kind of just move the stroller back or turn the baby around. I'm like, no,
Right.
no touching, no touching.
Right.
So yeah, that's one thing. I don't know what they did back then, but nowadays we don't want to be touched. We don't want
Right.
to
And I think that we have language now to kind of protect the children in our care, whereas we may have been like less to do that in the past.
right.
So because I mean in reality, you're not going to see these people ever again.
This is true, but I don't know
So,
what germs you have. And if my
well,
child is
that's
very sensitive to
yeah.
to things, I have a lot of allergies. So, I'm just particular about what I'm around, what I touch. And, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, not so much. Uh,
Hmm.
don't do that. So I'm just
We
like, I walk away
right.
and I just leave it alone. But children can't necessarily, especially babies, they can't tell you, don't touch me.
Exactly.
So we
I mean, right now we have hand, foot, mouth going around LA through the preschools,
Ooh.
so and
Oh, I've been
daycares.
there, done that in a play group with about 30 or 40 kids. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, it was like 0 to 3 years old. Oh, we had to shut down and clean everything.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
And you know, it was like, okay, so we won't be having playgroup next week, so we'll be having it the following week to make sure that everybody has gotten over whatever it is, and if it's
Yeah.
not broken out, that it will have broken out and you have gotten over it and all that other good stuff by the time we come back in 2 weeks.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's very hard because you don't it the kids playing with each other is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but adults touching each other, touching the
Well,
children, that's totally different.
well, the thing I've learned is that can be carriers for hand, foot, mouth
Yes.
and not be symptomatic. So it's definitely doubly like
Yes.
you can appreciate her from afar. You don't need to touch her physically.
Oh, it's all over Seattle too?
Mm.
Ooh.
And my guess is because school just started and
Oh yeah, there's a lot of germs in school, and that's what I tell parents, and they don't believe me. Well, we're going to put them in preschool. I said, okay, so for the first 3 months, expect your child to be at home more than they are at school, because every
right,
new germ that comes through there that they're not exposed to, they're going to catch it. And
right.
that's one of the reasons that I take children out for socialization so they can get exposed to different germs.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I get them exposed, I still don't want them to catch anything. In
Exactly.
preschools, it's just germ on top of germ on top of germ. It's like Legos, building Legos. They just kind of keep stacking on top. And unless they close and have a full clean, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah,
It's just,
definitely.
so tell us one thing that's old school that you don't plan on changing.
That I don't plan on changing. Well, I mean, just like I was going to show you, I was trying to do this on my iPad, which was a little bit easier, but clearly that didn't work. Like Karen, the notes,
Oh
and
yeah.
I have probably like 30 or 40 of these, and I just fill them out and keep them. And they're references. So if something happened, if there was a workman at the house, or you know, oh, for instance, whenever they get their tetanus shots, that's in there. Like I keep that in because that's important information. It comes up on forms all the time
Yes.
for kids, especially, and now whooping cough too. So that's always part of it. So that's something I would never change.
Elle says that she's getting little tags. I'm getting little tags from my
Yeah, I
families
saw
with
that.
newborns that go on the carrier that says, please don't touch little, please.
Right. Please don't touch.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's a good idea. The please don't touch. I like that idea. Um, so you're with the old school, the tablet and the pen, and I get you.
Right. I mean, we still all have a community calendar, don't get me wrong. So,
Okay, so we have a question. Do you touch baby at interviews or wait to be invited to do so?
uh, yeah, I personally totally rye based at this point in time. So I would always wait until, first of all, watch the baby's cues to make sure that it's acceptable. And I ask if I may, hold them, touch them, whatever, or care for them essentially,
Right.
that kind of thing.
I do the same thing. The baby will be sitting there, and if they are perfectly quiet, laying on the floor or doing whatever, I go on with the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And if the mom says, "Would you like to hold them?" I'm like, "Sure." But the one thing I do is wash my hands when I go inside the house.
Yes.
The very first
Right.
thing I do is that I ask, "Do you want me to take off my shoes? And where's your sink? Can I wash my hands?" And
Mm-hmm.
so I've had parents look at me like, why do you need to wash your hands? And then they kind of, and you can see it going across their face, and they're like, oh, sure, yeah, right over here. And so, and I
Yes.
just tell them, I said, it's a habit of mine to wash my hands when I come into someone's home, so I don't inadvertently bring in germs from somewhere else.
Right.
And they're like,
Right.
oh, thank you, thank you. So that's one of the old school things. It may be old school, new school, whatever school it is. That's one thing that I won't ever change. Ever, ever, never.
Right. And the constant washing of hands for
Yes.
everything.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, if that's what we do, we walk in the
Dude,
house, we bathroom by the door, and everybody washes their hands immediately.
my hands are so, I call them crusty dusty because
Mm-hmm.
they are like, especially in the wintertime, the backs of my hands look like
Yeah.
alligator skin because I wash it so much. And I
Right.
put on lotion because you're just going to wash it 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, that's a waste of lotion because
Right.
they're going to be right back in there. So I do put on lotion after I finish washing dishes because the chemicals are a little harsher in the dishwashing liquid. But yeah, that's one thing I will not, the washing of hands and taking off the shoes. That's the one thing I will not do. So, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Angela.
And we are going to move on to our next guest. And let me see if I can close this out.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I did it. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I wasn't sure what you were saying. Okay, so let's see. You're just not here, Michelle. I know I saw Gabrielle. Where is Gabrielle? Uh-oh. Up. Is Gabrielle here? Um, I don't see Gabrielle. Okay. Let's see. I'm missing two people. So, um, totally. Okay. I had two more guests, but I don't see them. So if you would like to come on, if you are old school and you would like to come on and tell us something that's old school versus new school, please just kind of go like this. Put a emoticon in your in the comments. And while I'm waiting, I'm trying to wait and see if I had two guests that said they were going to be late. So I'm waiting to see if they are coming. But while I am waiting, if you'd like to be a guest, a special guest, if you'd like to come on and voice your opinion. Oh, somebody said I'll come back. Oh, okay. Okay, Karen, you want to come back? Hold on, let me. Okay, are you on your phone, Karen? You have to be on a mobile device in order to come on. But while we wait on Karen to get on a mobile device, because I can't invite you, if you want to hit the little button down at the down below to invite yourself, you can. So while we're waiting on Karen, I have a couple of announcements. It still won't let me invite you, Karen. I'm sorry. For some reason, it's like kind of blank. So I don't know why. Are you on? You said you're on your phone, but it still won't let me invite you on. Okay, there it is. Now, okay, now we got Karen coming back on.
Hey there.
Okay, did you change locations?
I changed locations. We'll see if this works.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is back in the day, we didn't have a lot of nanny agencies helping with the placements, or we didn't know the availability of them. I think back in the day, people weren't always informed as to what an agency could do for nannies. And I think there was a big misconception about nannies having to pay a placement fee and not the families. So I think that's something I've seen change in the industry is I wish people would go back to maybe using nanny agencies or placements, because I think sometimes being on several of the different boards, such as care.com, always going to find you a job that is necessarily what you're looking for. And I see a lot of people these days going to those locations looking for a job, where I think going through an agency is going to help you find a job that's maybe what you're looking for, because they weed out what families are wanting. And you may want to do this one thing and a family wants this, And, it may not be a good match, or it may be a good match. And I think sometimes that's the value of an agency. It helps you find that. So I think a lot of us old school, we tend to go through agencies, where I think a lot of the up and coming younger nannies want to use the online platforms. And I think sometimes they're missing out on great jobs by not utilizing agencies. So that was just something I was thinking about with old school versus new school.
Okay. But y'all are not going to believe this, but I've never worked with an agency.
Should I try putting it back in here?
No, just wait.
Okay. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Fix it. Here's there.
It's like an echo.
We're trying it again.
Okay.
No, I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. Now I hear you a little bit better, Angela.
Okay, good. And I don't hear an echo. I was
Can you
saying
fix
that
it?
you all may not believe this, but I've never gone through an agency. I've signed up for 2 agencies, but by the time they found me
Can you turn it
jobs,
up on here?
I was already working with a great family. And another thing that you all may not believe, I've never had a problem with care.com. I've always gotten great families. They have sought me out. Some of the families I have sought out, and they weren't what I was expecting, and I never worked with them.
Yeah.
I
But
think it's this.
Try it.
a lot of great families have found me.
I can't hear
Matter of fact, about 28 families found me on care.com. So,
I can't hear you again.
oh man.
Let me see. I keep trying to put it away and closer. Let me try the headset again.
Okay.
All right, Angela, now talk.
Okay. Can you hear me?
No.
Breaking in and out.
It's breaking in and out.
Oh,
I know. I wish. Anyways, all right. Well, at least I tried. Hopefully, one of your other guests is back with you. I'm old school. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Angela.
Yes, Elle, I've never worked with an agency. I've always found my jobs when I was in DC. There is a platform called Urban Moms and Dads. It used to just be Urban Moms or DC Moms and Dads, and I found so many good families there. I also I didn't start working with care.com until 2008, and since 2008 I've worked with more than 28 families, but those I have 28 reviews on care.com from the families that actually went on and gave me reviews. Now, what I did do was when I got a review, I had a file of all of my reviews. I would go on care.com and copy it and paste it onto a file. So that way I would have all of my reviews. So if care.com decided one day, okay, we don't need you anymore, goodbye, I would still have all of my information from the families and their reviews that they gave me on care.com. So if you're on care.com and you have reviews from families, please copy and paste them, because I've heard a lot of nannies that say that they all of a sudden care.com just dropped them for no reason. So I would hate for that to happen to you. Please, go and copy and paste your information. Just saying. Susan said I had some great luck with care. I used agencies 30 years ago, though. I I wouldn't even know what the inside of, because the first agency I signed up for, we met at a coffee shop. We met halfway, and then the second agency I signed up for, we talked over the phone because I was moving here to Texas, and she had my information. I filled out the application. By the time I got to Texas, I already had a job from care.com. And We never, I never contacted her about a job because I was working, and then it just worked for me, and it's my unique situation. It's just I just call it blessed because every family that I work for, I pray over, is this right for me? And I get that ooey gooey feeling, that sense of discernment, whatever you might want to call it. But that was, I knew the right family for me. The families that I work with now, I have, they have called me. It's been word of mouth. I've been on Facebook. Um, what was it? Park Cities on Facebook, and I have found many families on there. So for the NCS job that I do, so it just depends on who you are and how you work the system. Now, me, of course, I have, I guess, a sense of discernment because I've been doing this for so long. And when you read some of those, um, the descriptions of the jobs, I know it's not for me. I check out the job, I check out the family, I check out their profile. If they have a written profile, you can view that too. And I think I've only paid to boost myself on care.com twice. And that was when I was moving, both times I was moving, so that I could be pushed up to the front and people could see me. But I ended up, most of the families, I ended up looking and finding my own, and I read through, and it just takes time to read through all that stuff and weed them out. It's just like with anything else that's worth having, you got to work hard for it. Good idea on copying reviews. Yes, Susan. Oh, Susan, would you like to be a special guest? I know that you're in the Seasoned Nannies group. Or Elle, would you like to be a special guest? Old school versus new school, the use of sign language. I have never used it because I pay attention to the child, learn their language. And but I'm asked to use the sign no. The sign language, I say no, I speak English. I guess baby child will speak English too. Well, with that, Leanne, I am a baby sign language instructor, and I speak English. I speak as I sign. I don't just sign to them and not let them know what I'm talking about. I speak to them and sign to them because that way they can sign back to me before their words have developed. They can sign back to me what they want. So I'll sign apple and say apple and show them the apple, and some of them go like this, some of them go like this. It just depends. Like you said, you read the child's signs, but they know what they want. They may not have a word for it yet, but they know what they want. So, like I said, it's old school. My old school thing is I, and this is kind of embarrassing, when I cook for the kids, I like using, I won't say, I don't like the spices. And I know new school, they use all these kind of, it's quick and fast, it's in a bottle and you shake it out and you shake it. I don't. That's why when you see me on here, my recipes galore, most of the time I'm using fresh ingredients. My nutmeg, it's a small little nut, and I kept getting my little grater, and I've grated in there. My cinnamon, it's a cinnamon stick, and I grated in there. When I cook with my kids, and I cook for the kids, I like to use fresh ingredients, whether it's fresh basil, fresh thyme, fresh oregano, lemon, and lemon pepper. I'll squeeze lemon and then grind some pepper in there. That's my lemon pepper. Now there are several spices that I will use that I cannot get that flavor. Even if I tried, I don't know what concoction they use. I will use that, but most of my cooking and is old school. because my grandmother did it, and she showed me, you use this, you put that in there, you put this in there, you put that in there, and then this is how it tastes. My grandmother, coconut, when she made her coconut cakes for me at Christmas time, oh my gosh, that was my favorite cake my grandmother made, was a coconut cake. She would take the coconut and strip that coconut and chop it up, and we had fresh coconut cake. Now, if she was in a hurry and she was doing it for the church meeting or whatever, but when she did it for family, it was fresh coconut. And when she did it for somebody else and she was in a hurry, she would go to the store and get that coconut that was already made and put it on there. But most of the time, she used what was in her garden, and she used herbs and she used spices and peppers and things to season her food. And I am old school, and I do the same thing, and trust me, it tastes totally different. And now, new school, all these cooking shows that are coming on now, and they show them using all these fresh ingredients, and I'm sitting there like this, okay, so what is that? I gotta go find it, and I would write it down. I don't know how to spell it, so I would write it down, and I try to search it through Google, and I look at the picture of what they have, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't it, that wasn't it. But I go and I search, and I try to find what I'm looking for. Okay, Susan said, Lane, the signs help the babies communicate before words come to them. Yum, she loved you a lot. Yes, she did. And I loved her because I was the one in the kitchen. I was the one grandchild out of so many that just all the time, every time I went to grandma's house, I was in the kitchen with her. If she was going to the kitchen, I was going too. I guess my intuition helps me, but that's old school too. Yes, you're right, Lane. Old school, your intuition, that's one thing. I do a lot of sleep training, and I know there are a lot of good methods and new methods that are on the block that come out, and there's a lot of sleep training classes and all this, and the baby has to have this and the baby has to have that. Some of that I agree with, but the way that I put children to sleep is my method. And I've tried other methods, and I'm like, this just does not feel right to me. So I go back to my old methods, and it's a quieter, gentler way to put the baby to sleep, and it gets them, calms them down, gets them ready for sleep. And if it works, I'm not messing with it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, that's just me. So, anyway, I have a couple announcements before we go. Next week, da 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 da, drum roll please. It's National Nanny Recognition Week. And I will be here on Monday night. I will be here on Wednesday night, and I think Thursday night with giveaways. And we have several giveaways that are going on um, all across the United States with nanny associations, with nanny groups, with nanny the Facebook groups. They'll be giving away things, moms, dads, and also another drum roll, please. Ask the Nanny will be celebrating 2 years. So we're gonna have a celebration. That's why we're giving, and I will be giving away. Ask the Nanny will be doing some giveaways next week too, to celebrate 2 years. It's hard to believe that I've been with you all for 2 years, and it started out as a fluke. And I thought, well, I'll just do this for 1 month and I'm done. And here it is 2 years later, and I'm still with you, and I'm still evolving, and I'm still trying to find new guests and new topics to bring to you, because it is so important to me that all nannies have a, a chance to get professional development, and all nannies have a chance to um, have a voice, have a say in what goes on. Even if you're not on camera, if you're behind the scenes and you're typing in to your messages, it helps. I say this, I've said this several times before, and I'll say it again. Every time I do Ask the Nanny, I learn something different, because everybody, it's not the same audience every time. And so what you all bring to the table and what you all share with us and give to us, it's important. You all are important. I couldn't do this without you all. So keep coming back. I'll be here next week and we'll be doing giveaways. And next week we'll be talking about talking with nannies who work with pets. And when I say nannies who work with pets, I mean the family has pets in the home. And even though they hire you to work with the children, if there's a pet in the home, guess what? You've been hired to work with that pet too, because you can't just ignore it. Just saying. So next week we're going to hear some funny pet stories, I'm sure. I have several ladies lined up to do the pet stories. So if you have a pet story, join us next week. If you want to type it in, if you want to, you're welcome, Elle. It has been a pleasure. Thank you all for sticking with me. I take it you deal with pets, Susan. You says romper room. You're welcome, Susan. And it has been a pleasure. And as soon as I finish my plans, I'm going to let you all in on some things that Ask the Nanny is going to do next year. So I have a few more few more loose ends to tie up. Fur babies are people too. Leanne, you just don't know how true that is. I work with a dog now that he is hilarious. The way he sleeps, the way he understands, the way he looks at me, the way he runs to the snack closet and looks like, okay, I'm going to stand here until you give me a snack. You know I did a good job. And I'm looking at him like, no, you're not getting any more snacks today. And he just sits there right in front of the closet until I come over there and give him a snack. And then he goes on his way. But yes, oh, Susan said, no, I meant that you were all a part of it. Oh, okay. Yes, we are all a part of it. But stay tuned for the new happenings of Ask the Nanny. If you're in Austin, on Saturday, we're having a paint party at Painting with a Twist in North Austin. And on Sunday, we are having a lunch brunch at the Black Walnut Cafe in North Austin. So if you're in Austin, Texas, please come and join us and celebrate us, the nannies. So we will see you all next week. I'll probably see you all on Saturday and Sunday because I'll probably do some surprise, Facebook Lives. But you all come and join us if you're in the Austin area. If you want to drive down from Dallas, come over from San Antonio, come up from Houston, from Buda, and who is that? Round Rock and Pflugerville and all the surrounding cities of Austin. Come join us. I'm just saying, we're going to have some fun. Anyway, I'll see you all next week, and you all have a great week. And if you haven't done so, please go and check out the new U.S. Nanny Association. Um, like I said earlier, I am the director of nanny services, and we have some things in store for the nannies. In the next few weeks, you will be seeing different meet and greet opportunities for the nannies to come and meet and greet some of the members and to become a member and find out more about the membership. They will be popping up, and I will be posting them on Ask the Nanny. They will be on the U.S. Nanny Association Facebook page. They will be on my personal page. So thank you, Susan. So you all come join us, and we're looking forward to providing great things and getting great feedback from you all so we can continue to grow. Thank you, Lisa. And I will talk to you all next week. And I'm out.